Hey, welcome everyone. We're excited to have you here. We'd like to welcome any that are participating online as well. We're excited to talk to you about Storied and how Storied can be a complement to some of the other family history services that you may be using right now and how you can get value out of the platform that we've put together. So, well, I just introduced that. Okay, here we go. So just a reminder, right, silence your electronic devices. We're happy to have you take pictures. There's actually a couple QR codes here in the presentation as well. So feel free to take any pictures that you want. We're going to do quick introductions. So my name is Brandon Camp. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Storied.
I'm Karen Crossley. I'm our Chief of Staff.
So we're excited. You may wonder why I picked this photo instead of a more professional photo. One of the things that we believe at Storied is that every picture has a story. And so just wanted to reinforce that. I had double jaw surgery about 4 months ago, and this is a weekend. I was getting revved up for a big BYU game. So anyway, all right. We want to start off with a little story. I want you to go with me back to Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, you're getting excited. You're having the kids come over. They're bringing grandkids or brothers and sisters. And so everyone is coming to gather. And you're super excited because this year one of the kids offered to host Thanksgiving dinner. And as everyone comes to sit down and eat, you're confronted with a situation like this. Okay? There's no turkey. Everything's out on the table, but it's not in a state that you would normally eat dinner in. Okay? And obviously this is ridiculous. No one would ever do this. Actually, when my wife Elena is not home, this is close to what dinner looks like. But this is obviously not how you would choose to participate in Thanksgiving dinner. But ironically, we live in a situation where a lot of times we're doing all of this awesome family history research, right? But it's hard to take that research and turn it into something that's presentable or something that's engaging that other people will actually participate in. And so what we're going to be talking about today is how to take advantage of all the awesome research that's been happening on Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past. Pick your poison. Poison's that's the wrong word. Pick your pleasantry. And Family Search, and how you can actually take advantage of that and create something that's super fun and engaging for family, friends, and you. Something that you can actually, all of those hard hours that you've put in, take advantage of. So today we're essentially going to talk about the can opener, and obviously we feel like Storied is a great platform upon which to share those discoveries. So we've kind of mentioned Family Search has a ginormous tree, and they've been doing microfilm and digitization forever. And you have Ancestry and MyHeritage, each have their unique things that they bring to the market. Ancestry has a giant repository. I think they said 65 million records now, which is unbelievable. Billion, yeah, thank you. And MyHeritage has awesome AI tools and imagery and a ton of cool things and lots of global content, right? Where Storied really fits in, we have historical records. We have one of the largest newspaper repositories that's available, but we also have an awesome storytelling platform, a place where you can take that research, turn it into stories or shareable components, and then share that out with family and friends. So I touched on the newspapers. I wanted to actually give you guys a sense for what can happen in our newspaper collection. And so Karen has an awesome story that she wants to share with you guys about that.
So this is my third great-grandmother. Her name was Adeline Damon. And generations of genealogists, some of whom are here today, have always entered in her data and locations and important things into her charts, and that includes information on her 9 siblings, her 47 grandchildren, her 53 great-grandchildren, and that's what I have. This is what I knew of Adeline, and it can get a little dry, so to speak. But this is what we knew of her, is that she was a stern woman who probably would not have approved of my choice of footwear based on her face right now. But a few months ago, my mom, who was one of those prolific genealogists that I mentioned, she was feeling a need to learn a little bit more about Adeline. So she logged into Storied and she began searching through our over 1 billion historical records, plus 280 million pages of small town newspapers. That's where we really thrive, is in the small town newspapers. And 85% of those papers are unique to Storied. So there's a lot of good nuggets in there that you probably haven't yet discovered. But what my mom did discover is that Adeline had a much better story to tell. So this is some information that we found about Adeline. So I'm going to hit some of the highlights. This is just some of it. My mom said that this Adeline could have had her own season of the show Yellowstone, which is very true. So first, she left her first husband, who happened to be my third great-grandfather, and their kids. They never got divorced, but she remarried 4 more times. Her second husband was shot and killed by a disgruntled customer. She became very wealthy and had a lot of horses and clothes. Her third husband was sent to jail but escaped to another state. Her fourth husband was sentenced to 27 years for embezzlement. And at the age of 75, a few years before she died penniless, she went out on a train trip to find her son, who was my second great-grandfather. That trip did not go well. These are some of the clips of the stories that were in the newspaper about that trip, and just kind of a glimpse into a wild weekend in Montana for Adeline there. In case you can't read them, these are the clip headlines. It says, "Demented traveler, her mind unbalanced, an insane woman, and her long search." So my mom texted me. I'm going to read you this text. Sorry, Mom. She said, "Things like census records and dates and places about the kids I already knew, but there were meaty, juicy bits about Adeline. All that came from Storied's newspaper archives and papers in places where I did not expect to find her. I found her obituary, which I never had. She became so real. Through Storied, you add details and highlights, and eventually you see in rich detail what that person was really like. They are looking right back at you. So with all this new information, Adeline is getting her new storybook. It's going to be called Adeline Damon, McLaughlin, Briggs Peterson, Jones Campbell, A Colorful Life. So this woman, I love her. I want to know this woman. I think she would approve of my shoes. I want everybody to know her. And that's the important part for us for Storied, is that we want to make, as Brandon shared, these historical records, these stories, consumable and shareable in ways that people stay engaged and passionate about their family history.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, so how to get started. So one of the things that people ask a lot is, why do we have a tree if we're all about stories, right? Well, a tree is a really important construct, and we are in the family history business. Just because we have storytelling doesn't mean we don't care about the family tree. One of the things that we found is trees are a very good way to organize your stories. Sometimes people say, well, I can go tell my stories to my family group on Facebook. The problem with that is those stories, so Facebook is a stream or a river, and over time it's going to be hard to discover those stories and find them again, right? But when you attach a story to a tree, you tag the people in that story, all of a sudden you have a very natural way to organize that, and you know right where to go if you want to learn a story about grandma or grandpa, right? The other thing is, as Karen mentioned, we have a lot of unique content, especially newspaper content. And so if you import your tree from Family Search, or you upload a GEDCOM, or you create a manual tree, you have the opportunity to have us search our collection on your behalf and identify newspaper articles that may be of interest to you, or search our historical record content and find those. Trees also allow us to create groups, right? So we can, on Storied, you can create a group, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but you can share with family and friends the discoveries that you're making, and you can share your tree with that group of people so that you're all working from the same workspace, but you can still maintain control if you don't trust your brothers and sisters. So that is also really good. The tree on Storied is actually a little bit different than the other trees that you see. You saw Ancestry talked about their new networks feature. One of the things that we did when we built our family tree is we built it on a new technology called graph technology. And so that allows us to create relationships between anything. You can create relationships between people, relationships between a person and an organization. And the reason why this matters is the kind of discoveries and the kinds of hints that we can surface to you become much more broad. If I have a grandfather that served in the war, and maybe he didn't keep a diary or any journals, or he just doesn't talk about it very much, but I know what company he served in, I can associate that person with the company in which he served. And if we have other people that served in the same company as him during the war, and any of them wrote any stories or captured any diaries or took pictures, I can actually understand my grandfather's experience through those other experiences, because we've created this relationship between those two people and between that organization. And so it really opens up and allows people to break through the brick walls that they hit, and allows us to surface a lot of super fun information. And then finally, the tree allows you, when you gather those stories, it allows you to take those stories and print them in a format. But those, in our books, you have QR codes that point back to the people, that point back to the tree, right? And so they become a way for people to discover and understand their history. And we're finding that there are younger audiences that may not be as interested in the names, dates, and places, but they love to learn the stories, and it becomes an entry point for them to start to learn more about their family history. So we've tried to make it super easy to get your tree onto the platform. We have a partnership with Family Search, and all you have to do is say import from Family Search, log in with your Family Search credentials, and it'll pull over the tree. It'll pull over memories and photos as well, which is really important for a storytelling platform, because stories are made from photos and content. And so you get all of that content to come over as a part of that tree import, right? So we pull over 4 generations right now by default. You can pull in additional generations through the hint system to kind of pull those in. And then, like I said, we pull over the media that's attached. Right now, we don't currently sync back to your personal Family Search account. We are working with Family Search to find a way to get the stories that you have on Storied, if you want to, get those back into the memories on Family Search. So we're trying to kind of work through that and figure out how we can make that happen. You can also take the stories that you have now and share them on social platforms. So in addition to pushing them back to Family Search, you can, once you complete a story, you can say, well, put this on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest. And I think we're working through some of those platforms. So JEDCOMs, maybe you're like, oh, Family Search, I would never, because someone messed up my tree over there. And so you would say, I keep my tree on Ancestry or on MyHeritage. Both of those platforms have the ability to export a JEDCOM file, or if you're on a desktop software like RootsMagic or Family Tree Maker, you can take those files and upload it into Storied. And then once again, that enables you to instantly have a way to capture and tag people in stories that you have, and we'll start surfacing content for you. And then this is what it looks like once you put your tree in. The little light bulb will appear if we found newspaper content or historical content that we feel like may be of interest. Okay, so what we want to do real quick, we're going to go through some of the features just so you understand what Storied is. And then I have a use case. We're actually going to go out to Ancestry. We're going to go out to MyHeritage, Family Search. I'm going to show you how we can take some of the stuff that's out there and turn it into a super engaging story. But we're going to have Karen take over here and talk to you about the free features that are available on Storied.
So as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that's really important to us is that we're able to easily share and continue sharing the discoveries that we find. So we have a very robust free tier on our platform, and we have several amazing features that come on that free tier. The first of which is Tree Builder. We have several different ways that you can import your tree. Brandon briefly mentioned these. So you can build it from scratch, and that tree can be anybody or anything as the home person. So for instance, if you happen to be part of an organization where you're gathering a neighborhood book of the history of the neighborhood, make yourself the home person, add your neighbors as colleagues. I think neighbors is actually a tag. So you can create groups that way with that tree, and that would be your tree as opposed to a typical bloodline linear tree that we're used to. You can also, as Brandon mentioned, upload a JEDCOM and then the Family Search import as well. Okay, so Stories, obviously, it's the name of our company. It's a really big deal for us. Brandon shared that we are trying to be able to allow them to go out as much as possible to whomever, whether that be in the form of sending text or sharing them through Pinterest or other social media platforms, and then of course storied books. We have Storied Assist. So this is something that is built into the platform where if you're not sure how you can go about starting a story and you maybe only know a couple of lines, like for instance with my triple great grandmother Adeline, if I had just known that she had a bunch of horses and some money and I could have started there, I can enter in those prompts here. This is an AI service that's built in. I can enter some prompts and it would draft a story for me. I can then edit it and make changes, add photos, and if I'm comfortable with it, I can hit publish. Next is recipes. We think that recipes are a really, really important part of family history, and we have a format available if you wanted to write a story about a recipe. It is already pre-formatted in a really beautiful way where the ingredients are bulleted for you. You don't have to worry about formatting. And then the directions are in a separate section. And it's just published in the book that way. It's really beautiful. And there's, of course, the QR code at the bottom of the story so that it would link back to the website. So if you have a video of grandma making cookies with that recipe, you can link back to that and watch that video, and that will always live there in that book. The scrapbook is where you're going to be able to keep all of your media. And again, all of these features are free. So all of the media that's imported from Family Search with your memories, all of the media that you add, PDFs, audio files, all the pictures, and we'll soon, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, have video as well that you can attach to your stories, will live in your scrapbook. And then, as Brandon mentioned, we have the ability to, based on our graphing technology, to have non-familial relationships. You can add a pet and just write a whole book about your pet's stories, and they could have their own little family tree going on. So again, like the neighborhoods, the classmates, military comrades, fellow congregants, for those of you who are members of the LDS Church, you could do missionary books and things like that. And then our mobile app, I do actually most of my work on, my personal work on Storied through our mobile app. It's really convenient, it's really outstanding, and you can even work on building your book in the app. The search function is great, and I highly recommend it. Again, free account to set up any of these features, and the app is free as well. And then finally, the group participant, which we've, actually this isn't finally, I've got one more. The group participants, as I mentioned, say you wanted to create something with the neighborhood. So you can, for free, join a group that you may have been invited to, and you can add stories, you can add pictures, you can add media, comment, like, all of that for free. And storied prompts, this is also really exciting. So say you're starting a particular book, maybe it's about someone's, a memorial book, someone's just passed and you want to write a story about them. Our prompts can be focused specifically about them. How did they make you feel? And write about that question. If you want to write a book about yourself, we have prompts that are focused on that as well, or recipes, things like that. We have hundreds and hundreds of prompts. Just not sure where to start answering some of the questions. So all of that is free. All of that is available with just signing up right now. You can sign up and get a Storied account, and all of those features are free for you.
As much as we wish that we could offer everything for free, we do actually have a subscription tier. And so we wanted to just be super clear about what you get as a part of a free account and what is actually behind the paywall. So I'm going to talk about a couple features here. So our historical records and our newspaper content are pay-for content. Now we've tried to release some new pricing that makes these very accessible, and we'll talk through that in a minute. But as I mentioned, we have 1 billion historical records, and we're adding historical records at a very quick rate right now, in part because of the partnership with Family Search. It's given us access to some content that we can start to offer. And then newspapers, Storied started on the back of a company called Newspaper Archive. And so the newspapers that we have were gathered, actually over the last 70 years, the company started in 1950 as Heritage Microfilms. And we started scanning newspapers back then, and then it became Newspaper Archive. And then we took that content and launched the Storied brand a couple of years ago. So those newspapers are available, and we're doing some really interesting things with the newspaper content right now, where we're actually re-OCRing all of the pages that we have using some of the new generative AI technology that's available. And in addition to re-OCRing, we're zoning each newspaper so that we can identify each article and classify each article. And then we're extracting all of the names, dates, places, and relationships out of each article. And so what that's going to enable us to do is surface newspapers in a brand new way that's going to help you break through those brick walls, where we've just been doing free text search up to this point, which means we just look for the words. But now we'll be able to know, oh, this is a person and they're related to so-and-so. And then you can merge that data into your tree without having to do all of the research on your own. In addition, newspapers are just awesome, right? In small town papers especially, they would write the craziest things. They would, like, who went on vacation and where they went and how many people came home. So there's just super fun stuff. Scout, yeah, hopefully all came home, but not always, right? All right, moving on. So we do have a hint system. We touched on that. The hint, you get the hint for free, but because there's content behind that hint, you would need a subscription to actually access the content to see what it is, right? And then newspaper matches we touched on. We're using free text search for newspaper matches right now. Newspaper hints, where we're actually extracting records and identifying them that way. Kind of a 2.0 version of newspaper matches will be available in just a couple months. To sponsor a group right now, that is a pay-for feature. You can get that either through what we call a content subscription, where you're trying to get access to historical records or newspapers, or you can get access to groups through our Storied Book product, which will allow you to create a book and invite friends and family to come and participate. All of those that choose to come and participate in the group participate for free. So just one person that pays, and then everyone else comes and has the opportunity to enjoy and participate in the work. And then Storied Book Studio is the new product we launched. In order to get access to Storied Book Studio, you do need a subscription. You can tell as many stories as you want, but when you're ready to turn those stories into a project and into a book, we ask that you get a subscription. That can be done, once again, through a content plan or just a book plan. Okay, so content plans, just so you can kind of see how much these cost. For 1 year of access, you can get access to the US and Canadian historical records from 1925 forward for $19.99. Storied Plus is our tier where you get all of our historical records in the US and Canada, as well as all newspaper content from 1960 forward. Okay, and that's $50 a year. And Storied Ultimate is $100 a year, and that gets you access to everything that we have on the site. All of the newspapers, all of the historical records that are available, Storied Book Studio, and then when you're ready to print your book, there is a cost for the book, which we'll talk about here. A lot of people have had a lot of fun telling stories from the prompts, and they said, I wish I could sit around the table and do this. And so we actually took our prompt library, 78 of our most popular prompts, and we put them into a little card kit that you can buy. And these cards are fun because as you can gather as a group or as a family or at a reunion, and you can all kind of reminisce and recollect. There's also a QR code on each Storied Starter card that you can scan. And when you scan that, it actually takes you to the storytelling editor inside of the Storied platform. And you can capture that story by typing it up or recording that story. And then you'd have that preserved and attached to your family tree so that that would last forever. And then you could take that story and print it into a storied book. So our Storied Books takes the stories that you've captured or the memories from Family Search that you've imported, and you can put those into a book and sort them however you want. We'll actually go through a demo for this so you can see how that works. And then you have this awesome opportunity. Now you'll see here, this is Kendall, our CEO, presented this on the main stage last year when his mom had just passed away. And she was an avid violinist. And so one of the things that they did, he and his siblings put together a memorial book for her funeral. And so in a week's time, they invited 62 family members to a storied group and invited them all to upload a photo and tell a story. And they captured, 30 people chose to participate, and they captured 60 or 70 stories that they put on the platform and printed a book. Now, one of the kids had recordings of their mom playing the violin. Well, you can't hear that in a book. So what we did is we've put a QR code on every page, and if you scan that, It'll take you to the online story where you may have additional photos attached, PDFs attached, or audio attached. And in this case, if you were to scan this QR code, you would actually hear his mom playing the violin. And she has a little introduction on what song she's playing and why she's playing it for the kids. It is awesome. If you choose to do that, have a box of Kleenex close by. So you have been warned. So storybook creator. Some people are like, well, I already have answers. This class is supposed to be on how I'm the complement. I already have ancestry. I already have my heritage. We understand that. And so we have a product that you can come and just get access to Storybook Studio and take advantage of all the free features and not worry about the content we have on our site. And to do that, that's $80 for a book, right? And that gives you 12 months to go and put a book together. It can be up to 200 pages at that price point, full color. And then if you want additional copies of that book, you can purchase those for $49.99. And so it's a great way to preserve those stories in a tangible way. All right, enough talking. Can we dive into a real example with some real websites real quick? Okay, so I'm here, I gotta find my mouse, sorry. I'm here on Storied, and I wanna tell a story about my great-grandfather, Grandpa Rix. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. I've been taking his autobiography recently, and I've been chunking that up into small pieces and using an AI illustrator to illustrate his stories so that my kids and my brothers and sisters who are unlikely to read his full book will actually come and potentially engage with these shorter stories that are more fun for him. Okay? Now, it's fun to see some of these illustrations, live demo, I'm taking a chance here, to see some of these stories. But there's a lot of good, rich, real photos and historical records. And so what I want to do is put a story together about his military service, okay? And so I was playing around on Ancestry the other day, and I found a World War II draft card for my grandfather. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this. Oh, got to click on the image. Okay, this is awesome. It's a really rich record with lots of good information about him. I love that his wife is Mrs. Marcellus Rix, so obviously a different time back then. His employer, he worked for an oil company, which was actually surprising for me, because as I knew him, and as you saw in the name here on Ancestry, he's actually a doctor. And so it turns out before he became a medical doctor, he actually got a PhD in chemistry and worked for an oil company, but felt the need to give back and help other people and decided to go and get his medical degree. And once he did that, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, never mind. So draft record, right? So we have this sweet draft record. So I downloaded this draft record onto my computer because I want to turn this into a story. On Ancestry, it's an awesome source and a citation, but there's no real good way to show it off, okay? Then I headed over to MyHeritage, and MyHeritage has some really awesome photo technology. I don't have to use it here, but the photo was already here when I came over. And so what I want to do is take a look at Grandpa here, and this is a picture of when he was in the Army, okay? And it's a little pixelated and grainy. I actually don't love the colorize feature. I know there are people that think it's the best thing ever, but I would like to maybe clean it up a little bit. And so I'm just going to click this Enhance button here. And I can choose if I want it to be lightly enhanced or if I want it to be more greatly enhanced, right? And it's just a little bit higher quality. You see the before and after, right? A little bit higher quality than what I had before. And I'm super excited about that, so I download it, okay? Now I've done the downloading just in case something wackadoodle went on. So I'm gonna go over to Family Search, okay? Oh, that picture's still here on Family Search, so I guess it could have come here, but once again, quality enhancement was my goal. So I can see here there's a story about Grandpa and his active military duty. Okay, now this is a story, but it's all words, right? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy the text out of this, and we're gonna head over to Storied, and we're gonna take the components that we found on these different sites and turn this into something that everyone might engage with, right? So I'm gonna add a story here on Storied. I'm doing it from my grandfather's profile, so it's automatically gonna associate the story with him. Oops. we're going to go grab the photos that I found. I can upload some new photos, or if I've already uploaded them onto Storied, I can get them from there. I'm going to go to downloads and hope that it remembered. Okay, awesome. So we're going to grab his draft card. I'm going to do one at a time, I guess. I can click and drag, but I'm a Mac guy, so I don't want to take any chances. Here I can actually zoom in on the record if I want to. I'm actually going to leave it how it was. But I want to add that one more photo that we cleaned up. So I'm going to go upload one more new photo. We're going to take First Lieutenant, Grandpa here. Okay. Let's shift him down a little bit so we can see you. That right there. Okay. Come back. Live demo. Jeez. Okay. Well, there you go. We're back. Okay, so we're going to say active military duty. This was in San Francisco. He spent a little bit of time in San Antonio getting trained. I actually don't know the date, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to guess 1944. I can always come back and edit that. Maybe we'll do a little earlier. What was his draft card? What did it say on there? Yeah, wait. 1910, yeah, that's not going to work out. Okay. Okay, here we go. And then I'm going to go over to Family Search. We're going to copy that. Oh, where are you, Family Search? Copy this story here. Come on. You can do it. Okay. Oopsies. I could also import this story, right, because of the Family Search import. But for this demo, we'll just show that. Okay, I'm going to paste this in. So I've built a story, an engaging story. I might rearrange these, actually. I think maybe I'll put him in front, have the draft card be the second thing, and I put in a couple carriage returns that didn't come over. And this is told from his perspective, right? So this is actually a first-person account of his military service. 194. Look at that. Oh. Okay. So I'm going to click Next. Mark is in this. I can add other people that were mentioned in the story, family or friends or colleagues, whatever relationship I want. He is also the author. And you'll see this is actually looking in my tree, and it's pulling people from any of the trees that I have on the site here. So he is the author. He's also in this story. This is a military story. I'm going to hit Next. Okay. So as the story provider, I get to choose who has access to this story. I can choose to make this private so that only myself or a specific group of people have access, or I can make this story public so that other people that are coming and looking for stories about Mark Ricks can find them. Okay, in this case, since the story was on Family Search and this other content was readily available, I'm going to leave it as public, but I might want to notify friends and family that, or probably not friends, they probably don't care about my great-grandpa Ricks, but my family probably does, right? So I have a camp family group right here that has my siblings and my kids and my parents in it, and so I'm going to choose to share that story with them, and I'm going to hit Done, okay? So what's happening is we're going to save this story. It's been attached to my grandfather. I have the opportunity to share the story on Facebook and X, Pinterest coming soon, I believe. Or maybe I just want to copy the link and share it wherever I want. Maybe I don't want to be confined. Can't box me in, right? Or you can create a QR code and download that. I'm actually not going to do that right now. But you see the stories here, and this little icon lets me know how many media items are attached. And so we have this cool story based on the research that had been done on other platforms, pulled together in a very nice, neat, cohesive way. And I just clicked on something. Okay, so now let's say that I want to take that story and turn it into a book. All right? Okay, come on. So I'm going to head over here to Storied Book Studio. And I'm going to get a look at the projects. I can start a new project, which would let me choose what kind of book I want to make. I've actually already started a book for Grandpa. And so I'm going to come down here, and we're going to see if we can get this to come up here. We got a lot of people claiming free books at the booth right now. Okay, project not found. That is perfect. Love that. We're going to create a new book. Okay, new project. We're going to grab a memorial about Grandpa. Come on. I can go grab one of those images. Grab it from the scrapbook. That's not him. We'll grab this one as the cover. Sure. That looks good. Okay. I'm going to make it black so that the back actually kind of ties in. And I'm going to move forward. Okay, so we have our cover. Now we have a chance to go grab some stories. So we talked about prompts a little bit. There we go. So there's a whole library of prompts if I want to go access them. And, if I wanted to handle it that way. This one I've already captured the stories. So what I'm going to do is go to Add Story. I'm going to add from my stories since I'm the one that's been capturing them. And we're going to add this story. Let's see here. Here we go. Grab a few more just so that we can kind of see how this works. Oops, unchecked. Okay, we're going to click Done. And you'll see here they've been added here to my project. Okay? And then to rearrange the stories in whatever order I want, I can just come here and move the stories around. Once I have them where I want them, there's an opportunity for me to check out a story preview to see how each story is going to look in the book. See if this can pop up here. Try another one. Come on. Well, when it pops up, there's a really cool story with a QR code. I did it on the busiest day of Roots Tech. Super smart. Okay. Well, there's a story that pops up. You get to see what it looks like with the picture on the left and the story on the right and the QR code. So the reason I do this is if I have one sentence too long and it goes on to another page and I want to clean it up a little bit, this gives me a chance to do that. So we'll come back in a minute and see if those pop up. So that's how Storybook Studio works and how you kind of pull this together. And then when I'm ready, I just click Next, and it shows me the whole book preview, and then I can go ahead and print the book, and we'll send that book out to you. So really slick way to kind of pull the resources from different places and then turn it into something that people can engage with. So we know that it's fun to hear from the company about what's happening, but we actually have a customer here that put together a book. And she did such an awesome job. We thought it would be really fun to give you guys a chance to hear from someone that's actually done a book instead of the company that is promoting the platform. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get us back into presenter view. And then I'm going to have Julie come up and talk to you for just a few minutes about her book and her experience on the platform.
There's my slide. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, good. It is up there. That handsome man over on the edge is my Grampy Phil with his little sister Diane. Now, my Grampy Phil was an 18-year-old high school senior when he received his draft notice for World War II. He served in Okinawa, which was the bloodiest battle of the entire war. And then once Japan was secured, he was sent to Korea to serve out the rest of his, I keep wanting to say sentence. It probably did feel like sentence to him. Anyway, my grandfather was a very, very proud veteran. He was active in veteran services, but he never talked about the war. And I guess that's pretty common with a lot of war veterans. They just don't talk about it because of all the terrible things they saw and experienced there. So it was very, very shocking to all of us when a few years before he passed away, we found out he kept a war diary. He kind of put it out on a table and sort of shyly told people as they came in, you know, my war diary's there if you want to read it. It was out for a week, and then it disappeared. Now, almost nobody in my family got a chance to see it. I think one of my uncles read through the entire thing, and the rest of my aunts and uncles kind of maybe flipped through it. My mom didn't see it at all. She went back like 3 weeks later, and she's like, Dad, you know, where's your war diary? He's like, oh, I donated it to the Historical Society. So most of us hadn't seen it. None of his 10 grandchildren had seen it. So after he passed away, like a few years ago, I went to the Westbrook Historical Society in Westbrook, Maine, and I found it. Took 3 tries for me to find it. He had it absolutely buried there. But I found it, I photocopied it, and I transcribed it. And as I was going through the transcription process, I came up against terms I didn't know. Like he talked about Atabrine tablets, which apparently are anti-malarial tablets. He talked about Tokyo Rose, which I'd heard of Tokyo Rose, but I didn't really know who Tokyo Rose was. He also talked a lot about the point system, the adjusted point rating system, which is how soldiers were discharged. They needed to earn a certain number of points. So like I knew what that was. I didn't know how it worked, like how many points did he need? How did he earn points? So as I was going through and had these questions, I would stop what I was doing and I'd look it up on Google. But it hit me that if I had these questions, my family members were gonna have these questions too. So my project grew. I originally just wanted it to be like a transcription of his diary. That's how I pictured it. But it grew. I started doing historical blurbs just to add context for everybody to have. And then I wrote a preface because people needed to understand why I was adding historical context. And then I wrote an About Phil section at the end because my kids were like 2 of the oldest great-grandchildren when he died, and they were 5 and 6. So they didn't really know my grandfather. And people reading this are gonna read the diary, and they're gonna know Phil LaViolette, this young 18-year-old kid. They're not gonna necessarily know the incredible grandfather he was, the incredible father, the man who was so active in his community and so active in veterans organizations. So I felt it was important to add that. Now, the process of making the storied book was so easy. I will tell you that I actually made this project not in storied 2 years ago. It was difficult. The formatting was an absolute nightmare. Through storied, it was so easy. Another thing that makes it really easy with storied is the ability to just drag and drop. So you don't have to write your stories in order. Like I said, I added historical context. I didn't have to have those at a certain place. Like if you're doing this in a Word document and you decide you want to add something, it's a lot of like cutting and pasting and reformatting. It is terrible. With this, they're all individual stories. So if you want to rearrange something, it's literally just dragging and dropping it. I think you guys touched on the QR codes. Each story has its own QR code too. So if you open up the book, every single story has a QR code. I don't have any audio clips of my grandfather telling war stories, because as I said, he didn't talk about the war. But if he had, I could add an audio clip. Now, on a related note, he did tell me a story. It's not about the war. One of my favorite stories. And on the back of my shirt here, I have a QR code that goes directly to that story. It's the story that got me really hooked on family history, and I call it The Grisly Death of Théophile LaViolette. Théophile was my grandfather's granduncle. And I'm not gonna spoil it for you. If you wanna read it, you're gonna have to come and scan me. But I totally lucked out. I actually have a clip, an audio clip of him telling this story. Apparently, before he died, he gave an interview to a professor at the University of Southern Maine who was interviewing him about the mill in the town we grew up in. And if I say it, I'll spoil it. But he's telling him this story in relation to that mill. So I was able to take just that clip and upload it. And now, so if you want to scan me, you can either read my story or you can go in and actually listen to my grandfather telling it. So I'm going to hang out for a few minutes when the session's over down there. If you want to take a look at my book, you can do that. If you want to scan me, go ahead and scan me. I love to tell people about Storied. I love to tell them about my book. So I hope to meet some of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. All right. So the invitation for everyone here is to start to feast, right? And so we wanted to make sure that these stories were as accessible as ever. And for anyone that missed the main stage by Storied, as a part of this conference, we've decided to give everyone that decided to come out and participate in RootsTech in person a free Storied book. So you just go to the Storied booth, you create a free account, and they'll give you a 6-digit activation code. Or if you don't want to face the hordes out there, Karen and I will stick around for a couple minutes after, and we can help you get your free book activated. And then we couldn't give a free book to the millions of people participating remotely, but we did want to offer something. And so there is a $39 offer with coupon code RootsBook for any remote participants that would like to participate and have a chance to get a book. And so that goes through this week, the opportunity for that. So with that, we wanted to open it up to questions and see if there's anything that we can answer for you. From what I understand, there's standing mics on the left and the right, and you guys can queue up there if you want and ask any questions. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. So the question is there a limit to the number of pages that you can put in the book? Right now, the standard book size is 200 pages. Our platform will support up to 450, but we're still working on the pricing for those extra pages. What we found is that most people like the shorter books rather than the bigger books. When you start to get too big, the project becomes really difficult to finish. You feel like you're never done. And then you run into this problem where people look at the book and get intimidated and don't read it. And so we found most people that 200 is kind of the sweet spot. And so that's where we're able to offer maybe a lower price than some of the competitors, but also give you a meaningful book.
And the number of photos you can have, you had 2, but with the QR code, you can add more photos, right?
Yes, so every story that you tell can have up to 100 media items attached to each story. Wow. So you can have, so my daughter just finished serving a Latter-day Saint mission, and she would send an email home every week. And some weeks she'd have 1 photo attached, and some weeks she'd have 15. And so what we did is for each week, I copied her email and created a story on Storied, and I would attach photos. A couple times she sent home audio files. And then what happens is, you're right, in the book, you choose which 2 photos you want to go in the book, but every story has a QR code. And if you scan that QR code, they get access to anyone that you've granted access through the publishing process, right? Whether it's public or not, can go and see all of the photos or listen to the audio files and access it that way.
So if I can, the 100 pieces of media that can be added are photos, audio, PDF files that are especially imported from Family Search Imports, and soon to be video.
Yeah. Thanks.
Wow, that's amazing. And you say anyone who can access that? Because you talked about a link.
Yeah, so you're in control of who sees it. So we went through an example where we published a story, and through that publishing process, I decided, do I want to make this public? Do I want it to be a private group? Do I want it to be private? If you're going to put a story in a book that you want other people to be able to scan and see, then based on that setting that you chose, that will determine who has access. So if it's a public story, anyone that scans that QR code can go and see the story. If you've made it private so that only you can see it, when they scan the QR code, it will let them know that story is not publicly available. Okay.
Question about the tree.
Yeah.
So I joined Storied last year, and I uploaded my family search tree, but I'd like to actually go from Ancestry because it's more controlled. I've got more on there. So that's what I'd like to do. Can I have 2 trees?
You can have as many trees as you want. Yeah. And so we find some people want personal trees. Some people that are professional researchers are researching on behalf of a client, or you have a specific tree for a specific ancestor. And so you can go and build it out however you want.
Super. Can you tell us more about the AI, how AI goes into like the text that you shared, and it can go into a newspaper article and it can create a story, right?
Yeah, so we're working on we're using AI to work on several different features right now. One of the features that Karen touched on is Story Assist, and that lets you put in a few details and it will generate a rough draft story for you to react to. And so that's probably the most popular AI feature that we have right now. We're also working on a story interviewer. So for people that have a difficult time typing or they don't know where to start, we have an AI assistant that will actually start to ask you questions and guide you on that journey, and then take that conversation and turn it into a story. And so we presented on that at the Tech Forum. That's a technology that we acquired in January through another company, and that we're actively working to get embedded into Storied right now.
Wow. And how does that work? How does the...
It's magic. No, I don't know all of the technical details. It will be available through the mobile app initially, and it will just, you could use voice or you can type back and forth with the AI agent.
Okay. You can probably tell by my accent, I'm from Britain originally. Do you have plans to have newspaper articles from Britain also available?
Yeah, so we're always on the prowl for additional newspaper content, right? And the British Library in the UK, the newspaper content works a little bit differently, where a lot of the newspaper content is copyright protected by the Crown. But we are actively working and looking on getting content not only in the US, but also in other geographies around the world.
Okay. And then, sorry to dominate, I just was writing all these questions. How about having access through, if you've got newspapers.com, got a subscription to that?
Yeah.
Does that overlap with what you offer?
So that's a really good question. 85% of the newspaper content that we have on Storied and Newspaper Archive is unique to us. You won't find other places. There's about 15% that you're likely to find on newspapers.com or Genealogy Bank. But by and large, our content collection is quite unique.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm 84 years old, and so I have photos that are eons old. Do I have to go through them and get them in that spit spot condition that you talked about, or is that something when I submit it that you can take care of on your end?
Yeah, so that's a great question. If we'll clean up the photos for you and kind of make it so that they look good, especially if you're scanning them or taking them as a picture on your phone to kind of get them up there. We are not currently doing anything special with the photos. So when you upload them, they are as is. This is something that we are talking about. As AI gets further and further along, it's getting easier to start to include some of these features. So that is something I've heard the product team talking about, but I don't have a release date for that on when you can expect it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, so here's what's happening, okay? So let me repeat the question so everyone can hear. For those that went to the booth and saw that they get a free book and activated it and created the account and then downloaded the mobile app, the very first page that you see when you open the mobile app is a price page. That's not awesome. So what happened is the app is thinking about content plans and not about the book plan, right? Because that hadn't been implemented. So all you have to do, if you look in the top left-hand corner, I think, of the app, there's a little X. It might be top right. Just click the X. That pricing will go away, and you still have access to Studio and the books. You just won't have access to the newspaper content or the historical records.
On the upper right-hand corner, you can confirm what plans you have, whether it's a digital subscription or a book subscription. Click on the little icon where your picture might be or your initials might be. Go to settings, and then there's a billing page, and it will show you your book should be there if you have a book plan or a digital content plan.
Okay. No, so come talk to us after. I think we have good news for you. Yeah, so. Yeah, so we have a plan that gets you access to newspapers and historical records, right? We have 3 different plans there. And then we have a plan for people that don't care about that and just want to do the book, right? And so what you'll see, what Karen was saying is you can go into your account settings and it will tell you what plan you have and what the timelines are on that. Yep. Yeah, if you decide, oh, I thought I only wanted the book, but there's like awesome newspaper content here and I'd love to see it, yeah, you could then subscribe to the newspaper content if that was of interest. Yeah.
But do come see us afterwards as well.
Uh-huh. Okay. I'm going to repeat the question just so everyone can hear.
Yeah, you need to use the microphone so we can all hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So the question is, can you use or change? How much flexibility is there with the template in the book with regards to photos? Can I have a photo that spans 2 pages and have the story on the back? Right now, for simplicity's sake, we don't offer a lot of flexibility. Your choices are, do you want 1 photo or 2 photos? And it'll always start on the left-hand page. We have heard this feedback throughout the conference here at the booth. And so I know the team is talking about, can we create a photo page that allows for this? But in order to get, what happens sometimes is when we offer a lot of flexibility, it really slows people down and they don't end up finishing their books. And so right now we're erring on the side of let's keep things simple and make it easy and straightforward for people to get through those books. But with the hope that at some point we can introduce some additional flexibility for those that really want to take control and make the book exactly how they want it. All right. Okay, we have someone back here at the mic.
The other thing that I wanted to find out is, do I have to have this story completed by this time, Roots Tech, next year?
So yes, if you got the free book, it is a 12-month thing, and so you need to finish in the next 12 months in order to get that printed, or else it will expire. Yeah. Okay. Well, we really appreciate the time that you guys have taken. I know we had some stiff competition with some of the other sessions, and appreciate you guys choosing to come and chat with us. We hope that you've learned a little bit about how you could take advantage, and obviously we'd love feedback in the app if you have it, and happy to stay after and answer any questions that anyone may have. Thank you so much for your time.